guys, how's it going? Dylan here from Field Strength and Athletics. We have a big video here for you guys today. We're going to be going over programming. Now in programming, we're going to go over one specific that I put together for you guys to follow along with. Feel free to ask questions anytime. Attached to this video will be charts that you'll see pop up throughout the video. You can pause and use that to write down, okay? Make sure to have a pad of paper and a pen ready so you can take down notes so that you can follow along with us and we get it all good there, okay? If you have questions, down below you will see my email, fieldstrengthandathletics@gmail.com. Send questions there, okay? Without further ado, I introduce the RICH program. Rotating intensity, conjugate, and hit. Those are the three components that we are going to be putting together here. So instead of a linear program, we're going to be doing rotating intensities. So it allows us to really work well in our maximum effort days in the conjugate sense. Then we're going to be doing the dynamic and speed work on different days, which we'll get into a little bit later because that's going to be a little detailed. And then finally, we're going to be doing some type of hit cardio at the end or at the beginning of each workout. That as well will be working in a sort of a rotating intensity as well. We'll go over those all individually in great detail, so make sure that you're ready for that. Without any further ado, let's get to it. All right, so starting off, what are the main goals of this program? Why are we doing what we're doing? As a competitive powerlifter and strongman, obviously, number one is getting strong, which is why we're going to be focusing on, for me, the four main lifts. I want to make sure that I get my bench and my overhead press work in because I rotate between strongman and powerlifting. So that is the main key here, getting strong. We want those lifts going up, and we want those lifts going up in every 3 months, and when we're running through this program, we want it growing, which is why we're going to be doing our rotating intensity. I've done a lot of linear programs before, and they've got me where I'm at. Now I need to do something a little bit different so that way I can keep seeing those gains. Number two, and this is something that I in particularly need, building athleticism. As being the last 2 years competing 2 or 3 times a year in powerlifting, I've done squat, bench, deadlift. I've kept my feet in those two planes, and I haven't done a lot of unilateral work or a lot of lateral work in particular. So part of this program is to be building our athleticism, to make sure that as strength athletes, we don't forget that second word, right? And then with that, lowering body fat percentage. My personal goal is to get to a lower weight class for my next competition, so that way I'm not competing with super heavyweights, and I need to get there. So that's why we're going to be introducing the HIT part of this program, and also it's going to help lower our recovery time in between sets, which means we can get more work done, recover from work faster, and we can be stronger in the long run. Now, before this video gets started, there's a couple of points I want to make perfectly clear, okay? This program is not for people just getting started. I want to make sure that you have a solid strength background before you get into this, because this is going to be flying quickly, okay? This is an intense workout program, especially if you want to add in some more things into it, which you totally can. Okay, this program is meant for those intermediates trying to become a little bit more advanced, right? Or the strength athletes that forgot the athlete portion of being a strength athlete, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, the second thing I want to point out, even though we're using some conjugate theories in here, this is not by any means how you see it in the West Side Barbell version of conjugate. This is not how it's going to work. I'm running my interpretation of it through experience that I've had using the conjugate program, which is why you're going to see dynamic effort 4 days out of the week as our volume, so we can help with that athleticism, so we can be quick in every single day, get a volume, get a little bit of a pump in a lot of our muscle groups, okay, out after our strength and main movements. So keep those two things in mind, follow along, and enjoy the video. All right, so this is our first chart here. We see our 3 different blocks for the main movement. What we're going to do for our first example is our strength block. All right, moving into the main movement. Now, as you saw before on the chart, we have a hypertrophy block, a strength block, and a peak block, which we're going to be working in. Here, we're focusing on the strength block, okay? So we have 4 options to pull through. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's focus on option 1. Let's say we're going to be doing the bench press, okay? Bench press, week 1, option 1. 5 reps, that's 70%. That's your top set. And the strength block, you're going to have 4 back off sets where you're going to be lowering 2.5% off of that 70% for those back offs. So 70%, 67, 65, 62.5 until you get to your final set. On each of those, you're going to be doing 5+ reps. Okay. Top set, 4 back offs. Okay. Then that bench press, the next week will be on option 2, option 3, option 4. The other main movements, let's say squat, which is day 2, we'll be moving on. We'll start week 1, option 2. So it starts on the 5 reps, 72.5%. Then goes option 3, option 4, and it ends the month on option 1. Okay. Same rules apply. You still have the 4 back off sets. Okay. Then you'll have the overhead press and the deadlift. So the deadlift will start on option 4 and then rotate through, if you put it that way. Okay. So as we're putting through our blocks, it's very important to plan ahead. You know, if you're doing a 3-month block, 2-month block, if you really have to push it, or if you're training for a long period and you want to give it 5-6 months, plan ahead so you know where you should be. Okay. And that goes for the strength block, and then it's a little bit different for the hypertrophy and for your peak blocks, just a little bit. But those, once again, you can just go back to the chart. So that's that for the main movement. Now we're going to move on to the volume and accessory work. Here's the chart for our volume speed work by block. Once again, we're focusing on these strength movements, or the strength block with the pause versus chains. All right, now we're on to our volume or speed and dynamic work. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm hitting most of my movements twice a week. Now, with me wanting to hit my 4 main movements, squat, bench, deadlift, and overhead press, because I'm training for strongman as well, I have to make sure that I'm getting in my movements on a different way. So I'm going to have my main movement, so let's say, for example, bench press, okay, which bench press, week 1, option 1 for volume as well, okay. So here, this is what I'm going to be doing. Instead of bench press, I'm going to switch it up and do overhead press for my speed volume work here. On my strength block, we're doing paused versus chains. So this might be like a good time to do a overhead bench press with chains, pausing somewhere in that range of motion wherever your weak point is. The same thing goes for my squat day, which is squat, option 2. On my volume speed work, I'm going to be doing paused deadlifts versus chains starting at option 2. And this is still just going to go through in our rotating intensity. So the squat, option 2, we do deadlift speed work. And that's going to go starting with option 2, option 3, 4, then back up to 1. Okay. So squat day, you do speed deadlifts. Bench day, you do speed or volume work on your overhead press. Overhead press day, you do bench work. Deadlift day, you do squats. Okay, all working on the strength block, at least for how I'm setting up my program with pause versus chains. Now, this is where you get to be a little bit more liberal, but still make sure to plan. You can, instead of doing that, you can do work with a shorter range of motion. That's a great way to do it as well. In the hypertrophy block, you'll see a lot of work versus bands. You can still continue that into the strength block. It's just for me, where I want to be is working in my paused, and so that way I can work on my positioning a little bit better in my strength block. That's the only reason why I'm doing it there. Okay, that part can be played with. Okay, now we're moving on to our accessory or HIIT exercises, and we'll go through how we're going to be doing that. Then here we have our conditioning and accessory work, which we have into 4 different options. Not too much difference between the blocks. All right, now the next step is to work in our accessory work, which we are going to be doing in high intensity interval training. Okay, This is an idea I got a long time ago from Brian Alsrew, watching one of his videos. It's been a great inspiration, and it's how I've liked to follow a lot of my programming. Okay, so what we're going to do is, let's go back to our example of the bench day. Okay, we want to work all of the muscle groups that we need to do in our accessories and put it into a HIIT format. So bench day, we need to work our shoulders, our upper back, and our triceps in particular. Okay, so week one, option one, option one, option one for the bench press. Option one, we have an 8-minute AMRAP. Okay, so 8 minutes, as many rounds as possible or as many reps as possible, with some selection of those exercises. So let's say if we did inverted rows, tricep dips, and then finish it off with dumbbells, lateral raises, right? Do those each set, reps of 10, do it as many times as you can in 8-minute AMRAP. And that's just working right off the cuff, okay? Then in option two, it goes on to a 10-minute, every minute on the minute. Same idea, make sure to work those accessory movements that you need on that main lift. That's what we're focusing on. Option three, a 12-minute circuit. Option four, we're gonna do an 8-minute AMRAP, come back up to the top. We're gonna bring it shorter at the end, just because at the end of the strength block, which is the program selection that I'm showing you guys, that's when we break into the 80% on the intensity for the strength block. And so we're gonna bring back the HIIT just a little bit so we can make sure to recover, and that way we'll back to being able to build right here, okay? Yeah. Now, to put it all together, we're gonna take all of the aspects we're talking about together and put it into our bench workout, okay? You guys just saw the grid of how we're gonna put the schedule together. So we're gonna start off with the first day. Week one, day one, bench press, okay? Bench press, option one. We're gonna start off at 1 set of 5, that's your top set, working up to 70% today. After you hit that, we're going to back off sets, 4 sets of 5 plus, at 67.5, 65, 62.5, and 60%. All of those, our goal is to hit 5 reps. If you can hit more, go for it. If you hit less because of fatigue or didn't rest enough or sleeps off, that's fine. Okay, these are back off sets, these are not the top sets. You do what you can. Now, what you'll notice here is we don't have our warm-up set in there. I still want you to do your warm-ups. Okay, don't forget that. There's just limited space on a whiteboard. So, that is our main movement and our back off sets. Next, option one on our speed volume work is paused overhead press versus chains. If you don't have chains, you can just do the paused overhead press, that's fine as well. I like to add chains on my speed work. Option one, we have 12 sets of 2 at 50% of your overhead press max. Okay. The goal isn't that the whole movement is fast, since we're doing a paused overhead press, is that after that pause, after you break that pause, we're going to be working on the speed there. Okay. Then option one on your accessory HIIT work, we have an 8-minute AMRAP. Okay. These ones, like I was talking about before, we are selecting our accessory movements that help out with the main movement, not with the speed movement. Okay, even though they do overlap, we're thinking about the main movement. Okay, so today we're going to be doing pull-ups to failure, banded tricep press 12 to 15 reps, and dumbbell lateral raise 12 to 15 reps. Okay, I set it up this way for myself because I know if I'm going to do pull-ups more than 2, my big butt needs a band, and that way all I need to set this up is a bar to do a pull-up and a band and dumbbells, and that's a pretty small footprint in any gym. Okay, you can stay in one spot. Now I'm going to do 8 minutes, as many reps as I can or as many rounds as I can of these exercises. Okay, and that does the workout. You know, that's not including warm-up or anything like that, but that does the workout. We hit all of our most important things in, and we get it done quickly. Okay, now we're going to move on to a lower body example. Let's do it. Now for the squat workout. We are still in week 1, This would be day 2 of the program in a strength block, okay, for our example today. So we're going to have squat, main movement 2, volume work or speed work 2, and hit 2, okay? So top set of squats, 1 set of 5 at 72.5% of your top weight, 4 back off sets of 5+ reps, 70%, 67.5, 65, and 62.5% respectively. Working off of those. Once again, the warm-ups and all of your steps up to the top set need to be done even if they aren't listed here. Now, for our volume or speed work, we're going to be doing pause deadlifts versus chains at 10 sets of 2 at 55%. Okay? I love this one in my strength block. It really allows me to focus on to the deadlift, which I'll be hitting heavier in a couple of days before I get there. Then we have our hit portion of this, which on option 2 is our 10-minute, every minute on the minute. Now, these are just some quick examples that I've put together to help out. You can get more creative with this. You can be less creative with this, or you can, hell, if you want to do burpees, do burpees. I don't care. But what I chose, because my goal is to be a little bit more athletic and explosive, is 5 box jumps and 10 lunges every minute at the top of that minute. Okay? Now, I'm still doing just the 10-minute, every minute on the minute here, and whether my work, if I go fast enough, only lasts about 5 minutes, I'm still counting the rest of that minute as part of my work, so my heart rate is still up. Okay? So only 10 minutes on this one. All right? And that does it for the squat workout. And then finally we have what your monthly workout plan would look like day by day for a full 4 weeks of the program. Now, once again, remember that this is just 1 month of it, as in the strength block. You still have the hypertrophy block, and you also have the peak block. Now, please remember to like and subscribe this video if you like the information and you want some more of it.